before we can forgive one another, we got to understand one another, right? Before we can forgive one another, we got to understand one another. All right, I just finished watching the Masterclass Interview where Oprah sits down with a lot of the greats among us, right? From authors to philosophers to business owners to actors, doctors, right? The interview that I just saw, she was sitting down with Kevin Hart, right? And Kevin Hart it was a really great interview, and I highly recommend to watch that interview. I mean, it's really, really good, right? But there was this one part in the interview where Kevin Hart was sharing his success story and his journey. One of the portions of the story that he was telling, he said that there was a point in his career many years ago where he didn't have no money, right? All he knew was that he had a vision that he wanted to be a comedian. And this was years back, right? Years back. And his mom or his grandmom, I forget who it was, but his mom or his grandma, I think you remember that. It was either his mom or his grandma said that they will support him for like 9 months. Like they'll take care of his rent, his travel, everything that he needs, they'll take care of it. It was like for 9 months or so, right? Now, whoever gave him this money, right, to support his journey, whoever gave him this money, I forget, mom or grandma, whoever gave him this money, they also gave him a Bible, right? Long story short, right? Long story short, and you've heard the story, right? Long story short, as Kevin Hart was on his journey, right? He accepted this opportunity that they gave him, right? With as far as the finances. And as month one went by, remember, he needed the rent money and he needed, food and all of that, right? That was the agreement. For 9 months, they was going to support him financially. So he started calling his mom or grandma, whoever it was, and he called them. He's like, all right, hey, how's everything going? I'm going to be needing that money coming up soon, right? I'm going to need that money you said you was going to hook me up with. You know what I'm saying? They said, did you read the Bible yet? And he said, man, I don't want to hear about no Bible. I'm on my grind. I'm on this journey. I don't want to be thinking about no Bible. I believe in God and all that, but I don't need to be thinking about no Bible. Where's that money? She said, did you read the Bible that I gave you? And he said, nah. Couple weeks went by, he still didn't get that money. He called them again, said, yo, what's going on with that money? I'm late. I'm behind on my payments. I need some food, right? And she said, did you read that Bible? You really need to read that Bible. So it came to a point in the story, right, where he was about to get evicted. He was about to just go through some hard, even worse financial struggles than he already was, leaning for money, right? But when you hear the part of how he called them again when he was getting evicted, all of that, and she said, did you read your Bible? He said, you know what? He got off the phone. He said, you know what? I'm about to open up this Bible. And I'm about to see what she's talking about. I'm going to just read a scripture or something. Lo and behold, when he opened up the Bible, all of the months of money that he needed was in that Bible. It was a check in that Bible. Now, had he read it, you know what I'm saying? Had he read it when she first said it, he would have had it. But I think that's the greatest part of this journey. Remember how I started. I said, for us to, before we can forgive others, we first got to do what? We got to understand others. Y'all know I'm not a big fan of Kevin Hart and all of that, right? However, after hearing that story, I respect that man. I respect him on a whole different level because he had a struggle. He had a journey, and I love that story. I had a similar situation just like that as well. I'm going to share with y'all before we close this thing out, but I just wanted to throw in two things. I like to give you some content, right? Y'all seen the video that I did before, talking about the importance of being in the moment, right? Getting your mind right. Before we can forgive others, we got to understand others, right? Every single morning, I'm reading a book, and I'm reading my ultimate mission, right? My ultimate mission in life. And I've been doing this for a minute now, but I just wanted to share this with y'all. The ones that come to the trainings and stuff that I be doing, y'all know about this, but that's not most of you that's going to be watching this video. So I'm going to share it with you, right? Every single morning, I'm reading a chapter a day. Right now, I'm finishing this book right now, The Success System That Never Fails by W. Clement Stone. This book right here, you know how I like Jay-Z and all them when I hear a song like that, but that's how I feel about this book. I got one chapter left, yo. One chapter left, and I'm super excited. So I read a chapter of any book. As soon as I finish this one, I'm on to the next one, right? And I always read my little personal ultimate mission, right? Boom. This book got a lot of work, exercises and stuff like that. This is a really good book. It's called The Power of a Story by Jim Lohr, right? Power of a Story by Jim Lohr. Let me go. Hold on. I want to show y'all this. You ain't going to read it, of course, but I got my I got to read this every single morning, right? Boom. Handwritten. You know what I'm saying? It's a good book. All right, so before we get out of here, I just wanted to share something personal that some of y'all do know about, and you could just go back to, before we can forgive others, we got to understand others, right? As most of y'all know, I used to be a co-host, right, on a global talk show, radio show, right? Billionaire Mastermind Forum. I was one of the co-hosts. I did it for like 4 or 5 straight years, every single day, Monday through Friday, on holidays and everything, right? Great experience. And as some of you know, I'm not a co-host on there. I stepped away from it. It wasn't the opportunity for me, right? It didn't put me in position where I could continue to advance, as is what my vision is, right? What my vision is. So y'all know I authored my first book. Now that all of the hosts and the co-hosts at that time, I was the first authored book. I'm not saying it's a wrong thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. But what I am saying is this a thing. So as I'm on this call, as I'm on this show, right? I'm an author. I'm a published author. I've sold a couple thousand books at that time, right? I was in the mode of thinking, yo, if I'm an author, if I'm a published author and nobody else is, when there's a book club call that you guys create, I think I would be the best person that y'all should ask to lead that out. But instead, some non-published authors were teaching other people how to author books. And it was crazy to me. Maybe it's not crazy to you, but it was crazy to me. And at that moment, I was frustrated. But as a professional, I stood my ground, right? I stood my ground and I accepted it, right? But the last straw for me, and sometimes you have to recognize it. It doesn't mean anybody is good or anybody is bad. All it means is that this place and this thing is not for you anymore, right? We was having an event with Jerry Clark, clubrhino.com. We was having an event with him in Brooklyn. Everybody was going to be there. I mean, that event was recognized by experts. What? Jerry Clark in Brooklyn, New York? Yo, that joint was crazy. We even had some actors from Men in Black. What was that? Men in Black 3, Valance Thomas. Shout out to Valance, right? We had, it was an incredible success. But the day before the day before the event, one of the co-hosts, I ain't saying no names, you know what I'm saying? One of the co-hosts, y'all know who it is, one of the co-hosts came on the show and he said, I'm not going to be able to make, like, he totally stepped up, like, he was, the whole time before it, everything was good money, right? But then the day before the event, this dude gets on and says some crazy stuff like, yo, I'm not going to be able to make it, in front of hundreds of people. I'm not saying this man has any type of influence over the majority of people. He did have influence over some people, but that was the minority. But my whole thing was, what the heck is going on? And I was frustrated about that situation. So I'm like, yo, how can somebody do that, you know what I'm saying, on a public platform? That's something you pick up and call somebody privately, like, yo, I wanted to come, but I couldn't. But here, the thing that I wanted to say about it, and remember, before we can forgive others, we have to understand others. At the end of that show, I made an announcement on that call. I said, yo, blank, blank. And I said that person's name, right? I said, yo, I don't know why the heck you ain't going to be able to come. I know it ain't money. And you can listen to the recording. I'm like, yo, you know it ain't money. Whatever it is, hit me up and let me know. This dude calls me shortly after that. And the reason why this dude wasn't able to go, my question for you is, if you don't understand somebody, that can cost you a lot in life. No, that will cost you a lot in life if you don't understand others. Birds of a feather flock together, right? If you ever notice in life, there's behaviors and there's patterns that people do, right? You can't be thriving in one business as far as your disciplines and, you know, your character. You can't be doing all of these things in one venue of your life and then on another it's non-existent, right? Because that means that you ain't the real deal. Once you understand, we may not understand people, and this is what I'm growing through right now. We may not understand people. If people do some weird things in your opinion, it's important that we start asking questions and having a conversation about it so we can understand people. Understanding people is really a key to life, right? Understanding people. Once you understand people, you actually start to really like, oh, you can actually relate to people in more ways than you could have ever imagined. But we got to start asking questions, right? And that's what we got to read. We got to learn our way through this together, right? When you meet a famous person, don't just be so quick to ask for an autograph. Make sure you ask them, hey, what book are you currently reading? And then maybe get an autograph or something after you get in a picture, you know what I'm saying? After you get what they reading to learn. You know, this is a process. This is a journey. So the more that I'm connecting with people, I'm focused on making sure that I understand them. Because if they're doing something that's crazy and off, we don't know why they're doing that. They could be going through something right now. They could have had a loss in their family. They could have took a major hit financially. They could be up for foreclosure. They could have just had a baby that just passed away. We don't know what people are going through. That's why we got to have these conversations like, yo, why you acting like, why you doing that? Like, seriously, this ain't you. There's nothing wrong with that. This your boy, Billionaire Brown. Thank you for coming to my YouTube channel. Thank you for hitting the subscribe button. And remember, before we can forgive others, we got to understand others. Start asking questions. Understand why people are the way that they are. All right? Peace.